I would love for you to kind of kick it off. We were talking about, around attraction, around recruiting, why agents move, or why, even more interesting, why agents don't move even when they know it's the right thing to do. So you were talking about PDF that you were diving into. You shared on a previous conversation earlier this week. Man, I think it's worth diving into and being able to get, Kendall's perspective, especially around the mindset and psychology of why people do what the heck they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, one of the big, it was more confirming than like an aha, was a statement in that report. And by the way, the name of the report, just to cite the report, is called The Simple Psychology of Real Estate Recruiting. And I've been really just diving. I've read it multiple times, and I like reading it like in little chunks and then diving into little pieces of it. One of the comments that was in there that I just thought was so true was the fact that when we think about businesses, we've all owned small businesses before in different, I know, Kendall, you're an attorney first by trade and then moved into the real estate sector, but you still have that, that attorney's mindset because you were trained that way. And that was your original passion, I know. But, when you think about business, a company that operates, with a hierarchy and with people holding people accountable and whatnot, and there's a structure to that. And that really doesn't exist in the, your typical real estate brokerage piece, right? And the reason is because the majority, the biggest group of employees are all 1099 employees. They're not W-2'd employees. They don't punch a clock. They don't have to be somewhere and put certain amount of hours in and whatnot, or for that matter, hit certain goals in order to remain, sales goals to remain, with the organization. It's more of a community. They're joining a community and they will tend to stay in communities. And when you think about the term community, that what you get from being part of a community is more of an emotionally driven thing. And that emotion that you feel is either going to make you stay or the emotion will make you move away, depending on the leadership of that community, how people behave in that community. Are you aligned with that, with those leaders and how they're leading, the actions, the things they say, the things they're training on, or do you not align? And some people start out thinking there's alignment, and then eventually you start thinking, you know what, maybe I'm not in the right community, so to speak, right? And so I dove in thinking about that structure and thinking about, wow, so this is more of a social thing. Yes, we're in this for business. Yes, we're in this to learn skills, to improve us, not just professionally, but personally, that personal growth aspect. And then oftentimes that's going to bleed over into our business side of things and that acumen. And so, we started Honey Badger Nation with just the idea of how do we deliver the most amount of value to the most amount of people in a group. And that's why we ended up coming up with the Facebook page and people collaborating and sharing and opening their playbooks, essentially, and just saying, here's what's working. And that never existed when I was with other brokerages. Everyone kind of kept things tight to their chest. It made me think of like my first brokerage, and I won't mention the name because it doesn't really matter, but I mean, very family driven. They had anywhere from 90 to 100 agents, your typical traditional old school brokerage, brick and mortar. And to be real honest, the culture wasn't great. It was very old school, a lot of angry people in there, it wasn't like a soft and fun and, type of environment that we often see, like that we're kind of used to right now. And it's not even company wide. I think everyone's had to adapt and get that edge off. Right. But today there's still people in that same brokerage. They'll just never move. And the environment the culture and environment could be toxic. They could have toxic people in there that just have, the wrong mindset about growth, and people will still stay. And it's fascinating. And so we really, in order to dive into the psychology of it, you have to think like that safety net. What is stopping someone from, it's not your logical brain, Because if our logical brain was driving all these decisions, there'd actually be way more movement than we're seeing. And there's been a lot of movement, but it is that sense of safety, that sense of feeling of belonging, and the fear that if you were to make a move over here, you may not feel that same sense of whatever you were feeling over there, even if it was toxic. You know what I mean? Like it's like someone in a bad relationship and they stay in it because they're afraid that, well, maybe I won't find anyone else that will welcome me into the party. So I don't know. I'd love to deep dive and get your guys' opinion, Kendall. Like I don't know how many brokerages prior to EXP you were with, but what is your opinion on like really what you're seeing agents when they do decide like, okay, to make the move? What is the number one driver that you've been seeing?